Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday, November 9th. How's everyone doing this morning? Let's see who's here. Good morning, Patrick. Oh, wait, let me try something. This should have changed. Why isn't that working? Oh, I set stuff up and, ew, come on. Why isn't that working for the new comments? Oh well, I'll have to play with it some more. I got some suggestions to do something like this for the comments. And MJ, thank you. I was going to test this as a comment, but I set it up and it's not making the other comments that way. So I'll have to try it again. But that's what I was going to do for the comments coming up, the white on the blue background. Hopefully that will work. Good morning, Jacob. Hey, Patrick, thanks for that info. Sleep Number and Toro in Minneapolis are laying off. Sleep Number closing some stores. Maybe I could get a good discount on a new bed. I need a new Sleep Number bed. Can we look at LABU? Let's see if we have some time later. Remind me, Royal Palms. Good morning, Sterling. Yeah, the poor apes. AMC down 20% after offering. Yeah, AMC is doing a stock offer. What, 350,000 shares? I think it was. So hey, Anissa. There it is. 350 million shares at the market. Yeah. Good morning, Options 22. Good morning, Tony. Black Text Matters. Hey, George. Where have you been, George? Where have you been? Been missing you. There we go. Comment plan looks great and really pops. Glad to catch one live today. Well, thank you for that comment. I will keep it. I had to set this up and I expected it to work. I expected it to work and it didn't work. I'll keep playing with it though. So give me another shot tomorrow. We'll see what's going on. All right. All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in again. Jobless claims Thursday. No big shocker. Initial jobless claims coming in roughly in range. Continuing jobless claims coming in a little higher than expected, in the highest number since I think it was last April. So continuous jobless claims continuing to climb. So that's really about it. Now we got Bostic. We got Barkin speaking. We got the 4 week and 8 week bill auctions. We got the 30-year bond auctions. So there's a lot of auctions going on today, which have been giving some volatility to the markets. And I don't know if Powell today will say anything or if it's just going to be another prepared speech. Yesterday was a prepared speech where he didn't mention anything about current economic stuff. I don't know whether today will be the same thing, but that's at 1 p.m. I will still be paying attention to potential volatility at 1 p.m. And that's where we sit today. NVIDIA up on that they're developing a new chip, AI chip, just for China to try to get around those export rules that we have in place, banning chip sales to China. So we'll see if that holds or not. Tesla down slightly pre-market. Energy up on a bounce today. This is not a long medium-term bottom yet or anything. We're getting a bounce there. So that's where that sits. In the groups, we have energy, best performer, utilities, the worst performer, but stuff slightly up moderately. Fed Watch still has the first cut in June. Other than that, no real changes. Fear and greed still in fear mode. Good morning, Martinez. Question on Apple: is that weekly double bottom valid, or does that gross hitch invalidate? Could you use the first and second targets? I'll take a look at that for you. Why don't we jump to that real quick? Is this a weekly double bottom? First, you got to go to the week, and then we have to see whether you can use the, and it has not triggered on the weekly yet. And yes, you can use the first and second targets, and yes, it is. Let me just double check this to the downside. Yep, it's valid. So you can use that. I'd focus on, look at the first target is around the recent highs. Also, if you look here, just real quick on Apple, since a lot of people follow it, yesterday we closed above the 62.5. So look at the next target, 87.5, and then we have the final area with the potential double, which is not triggered on the weekly basis yet. And I would use it on a weekly. You still have a gap left behind up here. Keep that in mind too. So we'll see if the year-end rally can take that higher. Let's get back to the S&P now. Again, we had some nice little price action at the key levels, pausing at the first one, spiking the second one, pausing at the second one, and now trying to break out. There is not a lot of targets now. This is a pretty significant little minor resistance level besides those harmonics, which I pulled off. We have a key resistance zone where we formed the prior double top. So anywhere from this 4406 to 4427 is a key area. Above there, 4442, 50 on a closing basis. We're still not there. So, and we're still in the rollover zone with cycles at the top and overbought. And this is climbing, this is losing momentum, climbing up. Now, let me start with the bigger key pullback area I'm watching. If we roll over today or tomorrow, I'm watching for 4350 area, 4350 to 4355 with the rising rotation zone, the hooking up 50, and the prior 25% harmonic from the big top area. And that's right in front of the peak, the base from the prior double. So, yeah, I see that, MJ. Thanks. So, well, that's fine. It's a good thing to step back from the market from a while, but you don't have to step back from the live streams. Oh, I'll never have a problem with people stepping back from a market. That's a good, healthy thing to do. So keep that in mind. The minor levels, I'm keeping an eye on. There's a lot of support coming in here between roughly about 43.65 to about 43.86. But until we really start closing below 43.65, it would just be short little trades from my perspective. Below that, we could be starting that slightly bigger pullback to that 43.50. The major support is still coming in at that 200, but I'd be watching for minor support. Probably another bounce higher after that, with the weekly cycle still turning up, and we still got some time to go before the end of November. I think this thing's still going to peter out in December. But you don't trade what I think. You don't trade what you think. You trade what the patterns show you and the price action shows you. It'd be a very boring live stream, though, if I didn't occasionally give what I thought. NASDAQ against the key resistance area. I'm going to bump this down. That's not the 4 hour. It's roughly around this 15,407, 15,410 area. You get above there, that's a little great. This is another good area where you can use the reverse harmonics. So from the low of the 26th going back in time to the 12th. So that gives me a target area. Should this break out above the decline, properly drawn now, trend line, properly drawn as I said yesterday, we sort of have a wide target area, but I would really focus, once you get through to 75 to 75 harmonic, about 16,634 to 16,673 if it breaks out. Major support coming in. Let me find the key little level. Let me see. The key little level is right around, right around there. It happens to line up exactly with the rising rotation zone. About 15,150 area on any pullback is the major support. The minor support, first little level is 15,335. Then we go to 15,235. Then we go to 15,150. Those are all your key support. If you start breaking below 15,150, then we're really going to be watching for that bigger pullback in the NASDAQ. So remember, and we got to be cautious. So from a trailing perspective, this is up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 days. We don't know where today's going to close, but this is if you are going to use something like a trailing stop, this is where I start crowding it up a little more because we're on a really extended run. Now, if from a larger time frame, like from the percent beat buys that were down here, still give it, from my perspective, I'd give it more room. But from anything recent over the last couple days, I'd be on a shorter term trade, I'd be running up a stop quicker. If it breaks out, then I'd be back to giving it a little more room. Good morning, Richard. Yeah, Disney reported yesterday, and again, I didn't even go through this. We had AMC, but Disney was a miss on revenue. That's what's key, and it's a gap up, but it was a miss on revenue. I think that's easily going to fill the gap. And people are chasing mediocre to poor or mediocre to slightly bearish earnings higher. But that's the season we're in, so you don't fight this if you're bearish. There's no rollover play yet besides a slight potential pullback. Dow, same thing. At the top, if it breaks above this 34,320 area, 34,460 to 34,557. Key minor supports of 34,000. Next key is 33,940. I don't need to dwell on that. Russell is, again, the last thing I'm looking for from the bullish side. I'm going to be watching to see if this can retrace at this point on the minor levels. Coming up and getting above 1761, but in the minor sense, I'm watching for 1746 to 1754 on any up move. Next, if we break below Wednesday's low, key areas of 1700. So that's all I'm looking for there. The VIX still volatility back in the lower range again. Can't get overly bearish besides minor pullbacks until we get a close above 1608 again. DAX, let's see if this is off the table. We had a minor potential double, and it is off the table. So DAX paused yesterday at that 50. Now did not close yesterday above the 62.5. This looks like it probably will today. The next key targets 15,430 and 15,557. Everything's in raw mode. Then if you get above 15,557 area, return to the prior high swing on October 12th with the flat 200. Notes. This is a very, very, very sloppy double. Why is it on here? Because with a 10-year micro yield, you have a cleaner double. So I'm sort of watching more. If this does trigger on the yield, I'll be looking at these levels on the 10-year note contract for key support. And that would need a close on the 10-year note contract below 107.18. 107.02 first target, 106.27, 106.19. If you're looking at the yield, the micro yield, you'd need a close above 4.661. Targets being 4.75, 4.8, 4.85 roughly. So that's the only thing I'm watching from the bullish perspective. It's got some very key resistance coming in on the yield. Watch right around here, this 4.57, 4.58. If you start getting above that, I'm going to be watching to see if this can get any momentum. Remember, you're getting to a bottom on the micro yield and on the weekly, and trying to turn up on the daily. But we're sort of could make another blip down on the daily before we really get something going. But that's what I'm keeping an eye on. If we still continue down, 4.4 4.409 technically. I'm watching 4.4 on a closing basis. 10 twos, hitting the second target on the little mini double top against some key support. This is a real area I'm watching. If it does continue lower and we close below about minus 41, we'll watch potentially back to minus 49.5. Dollar index, you see we've popped above this level with selling pressure 3 times so far. If this turns around and closes above this key level, you could start seeing a little mini run with cycles turning up on the daily on the dollar. That's still what I'm watching on a closing basis. Other than that, if we can't, I'll watch for the pullback, gap fill, and potentially setting up something like maybe a double bottom or other reversal pattern. Crude, so far a little bounce right off the 62.5. Technically, we closed below the 62.5 yesterday. So I'm watching for another rollover play, at least this 75 harmonic area. We also on the sloppy head and shoulders hit the target, so that lowers the stop to worst case scenario, this 87.40 area. Worst case scenario. But I'm not expecting, I mean, we'd need something really to change short term in the Middle East because there's a lot of overhead resistance. What else? Gold hitting the 200, and this was my key target area. I'm watching to see how it reacts here with daily cycles now at the bottom. So we've pulled back to the second target, and this is a pretty significant cluster. Also, you see here, right in this whole area, even down to the second target. I'd be watching on a closing basis if it does pull back some more, 1941. But this is a very key area. I'm at least watching for a potential shorter term bottom to set up. I don't have anything yet, at least on the 4 hour. The 1 hour's got waning momentum, but this is not setting up for a major pattern just yet. We'll watch for a reaction if we do bounce into the 4 hour rotation zone and then see how it reacts there. Silver, this is why it's confirmed a double, but look, it has not triggered it yet. Sort of holding this channel and dipping below on Tuesday, Wednesday, and so far today, but you look at this buying pressure in here. Still, nothing. 10 years, not still at minus 85 basis points. Now the old, this won't be a double top, by the way. This will not be a double top. It did close above the 62.5, so I'm watching for a closer retest of the highs, but we shall see. We shall see how that goes. Because so far we're getting to closer to weekly cycle bottoms, and this is definitely a sideways correction so far. Euro still trying to hold. You've had the 3 dip buying pressures just opposite from the dollar. Remember, Euro makes up the over 50% of the dollar index. Still, I'm going to be seeing if it stalls out at this third target again, about this 107.50 area. If it does get above there, 107.84, then 108 is a very key area. Pound is nothing still. Spideys, little red close yesterday. 439.67, 440.60 are the upside targets. A close above 440.60 is what I'll be watching for. Your key support is coming in at 434, about 70. 60 to 70. We close below there. I'd be watching for the gap fill, at least partially, but we'd have the hooking up 50 in the rising rotation zone, so roughly 431 on any pullback. Again, cycles at the top and overbought. Duck Qs closing 2 days in a row. A little red close yesterday. Closing 2 days in a row above the reversal open from the 12th. Still some buying pressure in here. Keep in mind, next key target isn't till 376.50 area. Key support 369.11. Within this range, there's not a ton of support points. The only thing you can watch is roughly around yesterday's this low price coming in about 370.62. We start breaking below that. It's really tight with key support in here. So unless we get momentum bars, unless we get some downside momentum bars and tick, I can't. Nasdaq's not the first thing I'd look for any shorts. Actually, any shorts would be the Russell or the IWM. Would be looking for shorts first. What else do we have? We have Tesla still basing. Nothing's really changed. 215 breakout, breakdown, 225 breakout level. Still watching for a rollover play. We don't have a double in there or anything else. And then the key area is really this 211 to break down for the gap fill. But if it's caught in this area, it's no man's land for me. NVIDIA, we closed above that 62.5 back on Friday, hit the 87.5. We got to go back now to the higher things. Going to be watching today if it can sustain this and close above 460.96. Would not ignore the first target, though, of 474.75. What else? Does Diz have a potential weekly double bottom? I thought it was a sideways channel unless I looked at it wrong. No, it's not going to be a week. Nope. Sideways channel. Nope, no weekly. No weekly double, and a very key area of resistance is 89. So I'm just watching. I'll be watching for a gap fill play in this. But if you're looking for targets up, or if you were long from a prior thing, 89 would definitely at least be a stop raise level. And then above there, the next key target is roughly right around 90 and a half. Thank you, LAB. Thank you, Royal Palms. Royal Palms, LABU. What is a biotech bull? Lab U. Oh, I see. Lab U. 3x. Oh boy. People love these. Without a pullback, your only thing would be as it starts closing back above about 365 area, it would be a breakout play. Other than this, I'd be watching for a pullback play and trying to set up. See, this, you get this decays on these triples. That's why I hate to analyze them like this, because there's natural decay of the price movement. Mutual daily bias. See, so personally, if I was looking for a play, if you get a pullback into the double range, then I'd shift the breakout level lower to about 350. Okay? Other than that, it's really got to get some traction above 363 because you're fighting the leveraged ETF decay. So that's it. You know how I feel about those triples. What do I use to trade volatility? There's a lot of options. There's a lot of different options, especially on the CBOE. You can use options that essentially mimic the VIX. That's a key way to play volatility with options. That's one of the better ways I like to do it. Using options to play, sort of funny because the VIX is the volatility, and again, you have the options. The pricing is based off the implied volatility. So It's sort of a natural fit. But that's the way I like to generally play it. There's a couple different ways you can. And then if you're playing the short term VIX, you can use something related to the VIX 1 day, which is sort of interesting with key things buying this at 850 range. I've not talked about it a lot. But especially when you get potentially some bearish rollover setups and you're down around this 840, 850 area, you can get some nice pops up pretty quick on the 1 day VIX. That's it. The IBB looks ugly to me. Lots of layoffs in the industry and NPVs. These biotechs without revenues, insane with yields where they are. Well, there's better. I mean, if you're trying to play the biotechs to the downside, I would not be using any of the biotechs are interesting. I would not be using any of the leverage things right now. With that, I got to wrap it up. It's going into the open. Let me just peek at the S&P. Sorry, I got a little caught up there. Oh boy. Remember, we have some Fed speak today. Got a little mini double. Looks like a trigger off the open. Tick. Decently bullish tick. But these have not been able to sustain very well. The tick's been fading. Especially over the last couple days. Now, it hasn't got overly negative. Remember, I keep saying, watch this. You got a little more negative tick yesterday, but still, you can't sustain anything below 800. I'm watching for sustained below 800 if we're going to get bearish. With that, I shall talk to everyone later. Have a wonderful trading day. Bye for now.